Welcome everyone to the training video for PlantRight's 2021 Spring Nursery Survey. Please note that viewing this training video is required for participating in the PlantRight Survey. After viewing this video, you will be asked to take a short 5-question quiz on our website in order to access the survey materials. If you have any questions about the training video or the survey process, feel free to email me at info@plantright.org and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Here's what I'll go over today. First, I'll give an introduction to PlantRight and our program. Second, I'll cover the basics. What are invasive plants and why do we care? Then I'll go over the survey results from previous years and the impacts that they have had on our program. Finally, I'll go into detail about how to register for and participate in this year's Retail Nursery Survey. First of all, some background for those of you who are not familiar. PlantRight is a program that is dedicated to promoting the use of non-invasive plants for gardening and landscaping in California. We do this by keeping track of invasive plants in the retail nursery market, partnering with retail nurseries which share our values, and educating the nursery industry and the public about invasive plants and safer, non-invasive alternatives. Our program is housed at Plant California Alliance in Sacramento. Plant California Alliance is an association of nursery industry professionals who fund research, provide scholarships for students interested in careers in horticulture, certify California nursery professionals, and advocate for the industry. As leaders in California's nursery industry, the Plant California Alliance is the perfect fit to host the PlantRight program. You can learn more about their work on their website. PlantRight's approach is collaborative, voluntary, and science-based. These logos on the screen here represent a combination of our partners and advisors across the sectors of industry, nonprofit, government, and academia. Having representatives from each of these groups ensures that our program is receiving input from a diverse group of stakeholders so that our approach is well-rounded and well-informed. And we have representatives from all of these sectors on our steering committee and our plant list committee. These committees guide PlantRight's programmatic goals and decisions. So that's a quick overview of the PlantRight program. And before we go any further, let's make sure we're all on the same page by defining what invasive plants are and what impacts they have. First of all, invasive plants are foreign or not native to an area, in this case, California. And where they are invasive, these plants spread on their own, meaning that they don't need irrigation or soil amendments or other human interventions to thrive. Ultimately, invasive plants cause measurable harm, whether it's financial, environmental, and/or to human health and safety. How do invasive plants cause harm? Here are a few examples. California has an incredible amount of plant diversity. This is just a tiny sampling of plants of the thousands that are native to California. Some of them are endemic, meaning that they are found nowhere else on Earth. Invasive plants can outcompete the native plants and take over where the native plants once were living. Invasives can also alter hydrology, or the water cycle in a region. This picture here on the screen is not a meadow, but rather a stream in the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta that has been completely taken over by water hyacinth. This not only reduces the flow of water and makes it difficult for terrestrial wildlife to access it, but it also destroys the aquatic life underneath by reducing oxygen and sunlight levels. These water hyacinth invasions also have a significant economic impact on shipping, recreational boating, and water storage in the Delta. Several invasive plants in California are highly flammable and can increase fire intensity, causing fires to burn bigger, hotter, and longer, as we have all unfortunately seen or maybe even experienced in the past few years. These fires are expensive to control and can cause significant damage to private property, public infrastructure, and human and animal life. Invasive plants are also a problem in agriculture. When invasive plants grow in cropland, they are considered weeds. As the top agricultural state in the country, a lot of money is spent controlling those weeds, which result in lost agricultural yields and lowered land values. Altogether, invasive plants like these cost California over $80 million a year monitoring, mapping, controlling, and removing these invasive plants. Here's a summary table of the varied and significant impacts of invasive plants. While this list certainly isn't exhaustive, it is part of why we think this issue is so important. Now, you might ask yourself, how did all these plants get here in the first place? So here's the answer. In 2003, a University of California study revealed that almost half of all invasive plants in California were introduced through the horticultural industry. It's important to note that many invasive plants, like pampas grass, were introduced over 100 years ago, before their invasive tendencies were known. Only a small percent of ornamental plants we use for gardening and landscaping become invasive. And while a wide majority of these are no longer sold, some continue to be grown for horticultural use today. PlantRight realized we needed to work across the horticultural industry to educate all sides of the supply chain, from plant propagators and growers to retail garden centers and nurseries to gardeners like you. This is where PlantRight comes in. We use our annual nursery survey to track the sale of invasive plants in the retail market with help from volunteers like you. Many of you may be familiar with the survey from past participation, but I'll give some background now for those of you who are not as familiar. The key purposes of the nursery survey are to inform updates to our plant list, use it to track invasive plants and our progress in stopping the sale of invasive plants. And we also use the nursery data to inform our overall strategy. In 2017, we had our 8th annual nursery survey. We worked with 172 volunteers to collect data from 332 stores in 45 of our 58 counties around the state. This was our most successful survey yet. One of the products we developed from the survey is our plant list. The current list includes just 7 invasive plants, and we have several safer alternative plants suggested for each invasive. To develop this list, we started with the California Invasive Plant Council industry, then we narrowed it down to ornamental plants only. From there, we prioritized species by how big a problem they were and how frequently occurring in the industry they were. Then the alternatives were chosen by our plant list committee because they have similar form and function as the invasives they are supposed to replace, but without the harmful qualities. It is also important to note that what an appropriate alternative will be varies depending on where you live. So a good alternative for the coast may not be a good alternative plant for the Central Valley. On our website, each plant will have an indicator as to where it is an appropriate fit. Now, let's get into the survey details. This year, first thing is first, safety. We are asking that volunteers follow local, state, and federal safety protocols, including wearing a mask, washing your hands often, and when possible, keeping 6 feet of distance between yourself and other nursery visitors or staff. We want to keep everyone safe and healthy while they are out collecting data. Another element that is different this year is the timing for our survey. Due to the seasonal nature of gardening and horticulture, with the timing of spring varying regionally, we usually split our survey into 2 different regions with different timing. However, this year, to give everyone a little bit more time, both the Southern California and the Northern California survey will go from Monday, March 8th at noon to June 30th at 11:59 p.m. Of course, when spring arrives in your area can still vary greatly, so try to visit nurseries in your area once they have a lot of their spring plants in stock. And we do encourage calling ahead to check the store hours and their safety protocols. This year, we've randomly selected 200 stores from the thousands in the California Department of Food and Ag's online directory. This selection process is random for statistical purposes and is done proportionately to the population in each county. For example, there are more nurseries available to survey in Los Angeles and Sacramento counties than there are in Humboldt or Trinity counties, where they have lower populations. Here's a screenshot of our homepage on plantright.org. The first thing you'll want to do on our website is to create an account and log in, which you can do right here at the top right part of the screen. Now I'll show you a short video demonstrating how to create an account and RSVP for the survey. Next, you will want to take the quiz. The link for the quiz will now be available on your My PlantRight page under the Spring Survey section. The quiz questions are designed to be straightforward and easy and simply exist to ensure that you have viewed the training video. To pass, you must answer at least 4 out of the 5 questions correctly, but don't worry, you will be able to take the quiz more than once. If it is helpful, feel free to review this video at any time. After passing the quiz, you will have access to more links under the Spring Survey section of your My PlantRight page. Your next step is to review the list of nurseries to survey. These will be available after noon on March 8th. You can access this list through the link shown by the arrow here, called Claim a Nursery to Survey. Now I'll play a short video to show you how to claim a nursery. Nurseries will become available for sign-up on our website at noon on March 8th for both Southern and Northern California. You'll receive a confirmation email from our system with information about the store, and this store will drop off the list of available nurseries. This means another volunteer will not be able to claim this nursery. If you would like to revisit information on the nurseries you've signed up for, just click the My Nurseries link in the menu, where all the nurseries you've claimed will show up. To view an individual nursery, simply select the name of the nursery and you will be taken to a new page. If for some reason you are unable to conduct your survey, or you have selected a nursery by accident and would like to unclaim your store, you can do so on the My Nurseries page by clicking the individual store you'd like to unclaim and then clicking the Unclaim This Nursery link. Let me show you how that works. Now, what happens if you go to the nursery list and find that there are no stores left? If that is the case, I recommend you get in touch with me and I'll be happy to help you find a store or two that will work for you. Once you've chosen a nursery to survey, your next step is to download the survey materials. These materials are available on our website, found under the Survey Materials header on your My PlantRight page. These materials include instructions, plant ID guide, data collection sheet, and explanation sheet. We recommend that you print these out in color and take them with you to your store. If you are unable to print any of these, let me know and I'll be happy to mail them to you. Here is the data collection sheet. This form includes each of the plants on our survey and a space for each item of information we would like to collect. It is 4 pages long this year. This list is organized by growth type, as I've highlighted here in orange with the grasses. It includes a space for basic information like the date and your name at the top of the form. I'd also like to highlight the space for the store code. We identify the store by a code rather than by name in order to protect the store's identity and conduct our survey in best faith with the industry. Additionally, I'd like to highlight this space for cultivar name and/or plants in the same genus. A plant may have a cultivar name when it is a variety of an existing plant species, and these cultivar names are commonly written out in single quotations. We ask that you record this information here along with the names of any plants you find in the same genus as plants on our list, such as different types of pennisedums. If you find an especially large number of cultivars, simply list as many as you can. One of the first things you'll notice as you're trying to record all of this information is that the signage for each of these stores will be different. We might not always have all the information available to us, like the scientific names on the labels or the name of the grower. With this in mind, we simply ask that you do the best you can and record all of the information that is available to you. Next, we have our plant ID guide with pictures of each of the plants on our survey this year. The plants we are surveying for this year include the usual suspects: the 4 plants remaining from our original list, and the 3 plants added in 2014. We are surveying for 5 candidate plants this year, and I want to emphasize that just because a plant is included as a candidate does not mean that you need to avoid using it in your garden. Remember that invasiveness varies by where you are in the state. We are surveying for 1 candidate grass, Natal grass, 1 forb, perennial sweet pea, and we are surveying for 3 shrubs this year: licorice plant, Italian buckthorn, and petite licorice plant, which are all on our watch list. Please note that licorice plant and petite licorice plant are often confused for one another. However, they are separate species. When in doubt, go off the scientific name given rather than the common name. The last material on this list is our explanation sheet. This contains background information about PlantRight, our survey, and some answers to frequently asked questions, which you can use to answer questions you might encounter during your visit. This leads us to the question of how exactly should you interact with store staff? We do our best to conduct this survey in good faith with the nursery industry. Since this survey is not tied to any regulatory efforts and all information is kept confidential, there is no risk to stores. As a result, we do welcome you to inform the stores that you are there to conduct the survey. No disguises are necessary. If you find yourself talking with a store employee, this would be a good opportunity to use the explanation sheet. We encourage you to refer staff to PlantRight's website if they have additional questions or they would like to learn more. If you would prefer not to engage the store staff, that is okay too. And in the unlikely event that you are asked not to complete the survey, please respect the store's request and leave courteously. If this happens, please let me know and I can address this on a case-by-case basis. This has only happened a handful of times over the past few years, but just in case, we'd like you to be prepared. Lastly, I'd like to remind you that the purpose of this survey is data collection and not outreach. So I kindly ask that you refrain from doing any advocacy during your nursery visit. Once you have all of your materials, your next step is to visit the store. We recommend that you give yourself 45 to 90 minutes for a survey. How long it will take depends on the store size, layout, and how well plants are labeled. It's helpful to note that annuals, indoor plants, edibles, and California natives will not show up on our list, so you can skip these sections entirely. If you do find an invasive plant, the first thing you'll want to do is to record the available information on the survey form. Next, you'll want to take a photo of the plant. We ask that you take at least 2 photos, one of the plant itself and one close-up of the label. These photos are very important and allow us to verify the identity of the plant. In some cases, plants can be mislabeled. If there's extra confusion, please collect all the information that you see and take a few extra photos to help us verify the plant's identity. Sometimes photos are distant, blurry, or lacking in reference, which makes it difficult for us to verify these plants. Because these photos are so critical, I want to emphasize the importance of taking clear photos. If you have a digital camera or are taking pictures with your phone, please check over your photos before you leave the store in case you need to take some other ones. And remember, there's no harm in taking some extra photos. We love to see your extras of you visiting the nurseries. Now, once you've finished your survey, you'll need to go back online and submit your data. Let's watch a quick video to see how to do this. After submitting results, you have the option to fill out a voluntary feedback questionnaire. The link to this questionnaire is on your My PlantRight page. This is voluntary, but we appreciate your feedback and use it to improve the survey in the future. If you are volunteering as part of an organization, Don't forget to check with your organization to see if you are eligible to receive volunteer hours or continuing education credit for your participation in the PlantRight Survey. Several organizations, such as the UC Master Gardeners, California Certified Nursery Professionals, and the G3 Gardening Group, have offered credit for the survey in the past. Finally, here's my contact information once again. The easiest way to get in touch with me is to email me at info@plantright.org. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you all so much for joining us this year. This video will be available on plantright.org, through your My PlantRight page, and on our YouTube channel.